Hey everyone, and we are live on the podcast now. This is our second attempt because our first attempt, I guess, our router took a dump, so I had to restart everything, and now we're starting over again. So, welcome. I hope everybody is here and comes back because we had a few on here before, and I just had to end it. It's actually was still going, which was really weird. So anyway, if nobody shows up, it'll be just us. But anyway, for those who are listening, it's my wife and I tonight. Tony had life that happened, and his daughter had a band concert, so he had to go and support his daughter in that family first. So I asked my wife to come on here, and we are going to talk about packing and planning. We
Yes.
recently taken a several different trips that were
Mhm.
completely different in what we had to take and what we had to prepare for. So, um, if you're not organized, I don't know if a lot of people are not like me. I've come to find that a lot of people are not like me. If I am not organized, then I am a nervous wreck. I just can't stand it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, if I'm not packing early enough for you, you're like, don't you need to start packing? Like, when are you gonna pack?
I want to
Like,
make sure that number one, we leave on time. And number two, we have everything that we
you
need
don't just wanna leave on time, you wanna leave early. You
when we
wanna
leave
yeah.
because in order to get there on time, we have to leave early. If you leave on
Mhm.
time, you always arrive late because you stop several times. But and that's okay. Not everybody's like me, and I've come to terms with that kinda. I'm still working on that, but we're learning each other, and it's kind of fun. And so we've taken several different kinds of trips. One to a national park with our trailer, where we did some
Mhm.
hiking, camping, stuff like that.
Yeah, so all
Hey,
of these are within the last 4 months.
right.
Mhm.
Then we took a backpacking trip where
Yes.
we had to carry everything that we owned on our back.
Mhm.
We did a kind of a, what would you call it? We kind of went
You mean the trip to
domesticated.
yeah,
We
the
were
trip to
kind of
Tennessee?
domesticated. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so we stayed like in a
It was
cabin
just
and a
like a
house.
typical kind of road trip with some adventure
Yeah, it was
opportunities
cool.
for adventure thrown in.
And then recently we went back out in the FJ, just the FJ, no trailer, no nothing, just FJ, and so that was an experience.
Good
So
old camping.
anyway, we're going to try this again and see if we make it longer than 3 minutes. So stick with us. We'll be right back. You were live on the Overland Podcast. Thank you for watching or listening to the Overland Podcast. We're excited to be here. We're coming to you live as we do each week, bringing you the latest in all things outdoors and overlanding. The live show contains listeners, so join us with your comments and questions. Here we go. No pros, just bros on this show. So, actually, not just bros today. It's actually a little bit different today. So I have my lovely wife
Hi.
that I live with. We're
Yes,
married. We got married. Let's see,
9
June
months.
26th of last year.
23rd.
June 23rd of
Yes.
last year, and it was 20 something. So
Mhm.
you got to give me credit that I hit it like
Babe,
within a
I
week.
give you no, the reason you said 26 is we got engaged on at the 26th of March. And then we got
Okay.
married on the 23rd of June. So 26 you knew 26
Okay.
is important for some reason. So you're
Okay.
good. You're all
Yeah,
good, babe.
I knew it was on there for some reason.
Mhm.
So I got my numbers right, just got my months wrong. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
You're
okay.
all good, babe.
Yeah, well, not
Yeah.
all good, but some
He's
of it.
yeah.
But anyway, so you know, kind of what I wanted to hit on tonight is kind of get some tips and tricks, maybe get some input from the listeners as to what they do. I have been trying to do this for years and trying to perfect how I pack and
Mhm.
plan. Michael, appreciate you being on here, sticking with
Hey.
us. I need to have Michael on the show Michael is actually starting up his own guide service in Alaska.
Alaska.
So,
We need to
um,
go to Alaska to use
yeah,
that guide
so
service.
all over Overland is now offering guide services, and you can contact Michael if you want to go into Alaska and see the sights. He's been up there a while now and wants to take everybody around, show them the sights. And I told him we would love to go up there, so that's pretty cool.
I love it.
Um, but I've been trying to work on trying to perfect where I put everything, and it seems like I have perfected the kitchen. I have
Mhm.
perfected the sleeping area. I have perfected where we store things in there, but the one thing that I can't seem to get a hold on is clothing and food items, and it just bothers me. It just really bothers me, and so it's really hard to figure out what you do. Yeah, I mean, I took a duffel bag for years. I took I've got these. Let's see, you picked me up something from a company that's out in North Carolina, up in on the East Coast,
Yeah, what are
and
they? Oh, what is the
can't
name of
remember what it is. It has these little packs, little bitty packs, Velcro, and I seem to throw everything in there like they're the perfect size. It's actually a toolkit, and I can actually put one pair of pants, underwear, socks, and shirt all in one of those. So actually, when I go up into the tent at night, I can just grab one of those. So I've been working on that. I've been trying to perfect, um, you know, what we're doing,
Yeah.
and so it's a little bit different depending on the type of. Michael uses step 22 gear, and I actually have some step 22 gear as well, and I love their stuff. They have really high quality stuff. Um, and but
Mhm.
I've been trying to perfect this. We've changed everything up, but it changes depending on what vehicle we take and the type of
What?
situation that we're going to get into.
Yeah.
So let's go back to Christmas break when we were going down to Big Bend. This was our
Yes.
second time down there.
Mhm.
We were taking the Subaru, going to pull the trailer, which that ended up being a little bit of a nightmare. But we were going to base
I mean,
camp.
if you call 9 miles a gallon a nightmare, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'm used to that in the FJ, and if I knew that we were going to get that, I would have just taken the FJ.
I
Um,
know.
but
Well, I think it was good to know that that wasn't gonna work. I'd rather find that out than, on our longer summer trip.
yeah, look at that.
So
Reed Cadle is on here on Instagram. Can you
nuh-uh.
believe that?
Hey,
Reed,
Reed.
what is up? I love me some Reed. So I
Okay.
actually was fishing with Reed when I got introduced to you. So
Yes.
that's pretty neat up in Minnesota.
Mm,
So anyway, we got quite a few people that have joined us on Instagram. Appreciate you being here. Now, if you comment on Instagram, we can't put it on the screen. We can only do that on Facebook and YouTube. But anyway, we appreciate you being here. But going back to going to national park, we stayed outside the national park. We're going to base
yes.
camp out of the uh, the Tiger
Subaru.
Moth trailer.
Mhm.
So we had a place to sleep. We had a kitchen. We had a what do you call
You
what do you call that? It's a
the
little
clam?
the
The
clam. It's a gazebo. We had a gazebo.
gazebo, yeah.
You could sit, get out of the wind, get out of the rain. Of course, it hardly ever rains down there. That's not an issue. But we were going to do quite a bit of hiking, and we were also going to do some backpacking while we were down there. So going down there, this is in the middle of winter. Uh,
Mhm.
it's dry climate. It's usually pretty chilly at night, and perfect temperatures during the daytime. So what we took actually to pack our clothes in was completely different than what we had taken when we go the FJ because I had gotten something for Christmas. You had got me an Alpa
Mhm.
from
Cotopaxi.
Cotopaxi, and it's kind of a backpack, travel backpack, and I put all my clothes in there, and I absolutely love that. But what to take and where to take, that was completely different than what we had done before.
Yeah, and you use that. I really like when we're gonna be out of the F chair, out of the sewer, base camping, and or even this we did it last summer. I really like the bins. The the who got where'd you get those from? The
Um,
ones that have the latch on it and it's the hard shell. It's like what, 6 inches,
hmm
maybe more, 8 inches deep, and then
It's
it's just
kind of
like
like
a
a little
suitcase.
case, but it's got cloth on the outside. I know
Yeah,
exactly what you're
and
talking
then it has the compartments. So
about.
that's what I ended up using because I'm able to put all roll everything up, have my either packing cubes and put things in different compartments since we were gonna be most base camping, and then each of us had our backpack with us,
Hmm.
and so then when we went backpacking, we just pulled our clothes out of our other, kits and put in the backpack, but I really like that, the the crates. What are they? What do you call them, babe? I'm blanking.
Give me just a second. I got one right here.
Anyway, I really like those because, um, they stack. They stack and they're super convenient. You can open up the whole top, so it's like a suitcase without wheels. But I'm blanking on the name. Everything that we use, I'm blanking on the name. So
All right,
that's
I'm
what.
back.
Okay,
They're
perfect.
made by Radius Outfitters. It is this little pack right here. It's got a little leather handle on it, and it's got a little latch on the front, and you open it up and you can section divide it. And I love them because you can stack them.
Yes.
They're real, very heavy, well made, and so yeah, we've used those several times. Those are really
Yeah,
nice.
so, like, for a honeymoon, both of us use those. On this one, I was the only one who used that, but it's stacked with all the other stuff we had in the car, when we went to Big Bend, and then you used your new Cotopaxi bag.
Hmm.
So, that worked really well. Um,
That was for clothes. Um,
yeah.
yeah. Now we had something completely different for food because the Subaru was not built. It's not built up. We haven't done anything to it. So in order to take food, we had to put a fridge in the Subaru. So we borrowed a refrigerator from Matt with Ozark Overland Adventures, and I hooked it up to the EcoFlow that we had at the time, and I took a folding um, solar panel to go with it, and we were able to charge that going down the
Mhm.
road and charge the fridge, keep it going.
Yeah.
So
I
that was kind of an issue. If you don't have a
Yeah,
fridge and you don't have everything wired in, we had to figure all that out.
yeah.
That was kind of an issue.
And then we
Um,
haven't we haven't outfitted this Subaru yet because Joey and I both agreed and decided that we were gonna pay off the Subaru completely before we made any before we built it up, before we added all the bells and whistles.
yeah,
Exactly. Yes, the camera backpack works
yeah,
fantastic
that's kind of
too.
what this Radius Outfitters is. It's got the real soft material on the inside, works really well for clothes.
And then
Also,
they
I
have the
keep
Velcro dividers too.
so I have two of those, and I keep my drone, my camera, GoPros, and stuff like that in there, and that they stack real easy, really nice. I like those.
Mhm.
Overlanding Dreamers on Instagram says we use cargo nets installed in the roof hanging down, and that's interesting because we've done the same thing in the
Yes.
trailer.
Yeah. Because then that becomes so. It's the how can we've got our clothes that are with us, but then, like, storing stuff, when we actually are in our sleep areas. So that's when some of the other methods that we have developed. So we've installed cargo net at the top of our Tiger Moth that we're
Hmm.
able to put in, our we'll pull out our clothes for the next day and tuck them up there, and then, like, and then we'll exchange that. We'll stick our dirty clothes up from that we were wearing that day as well, up there, so that way we don't have to run back and forth. Like, because the when we're in the, Tiger Moth, the bed takes up the entire area, so it's not like we
Hmm.
can access, like, bins and luggage and
Hmm.
all that stuff while we're in there. It's really not that convenient for that. Um,
And Michael brought up something that I always forget, and we've forgotten it several times too, the dirty clothes bag. And so we
so
have
now we
actually purchased a dirty clothes bag and keep it with our travel stuff just so we won't forget it
Yeah.
because I forget that every single time. And most of the time I've used a trash bag because I've forgotten and I keep a roll of trash bags in the FJ all the time in my trasharoo container back there. So I've had to use that several times, but I always forget a dirty clothes bag, and so that is
I'm
definitely
getting
something.
pretty good at remembering them. We've actually have multiple dirty clothes bags now
We forgot one, had to buy another one.
because we yeah, or we stole or my mom had an extra one and we stole it from her.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
we didn't steal it. We borrowed it. We'll take it back.
Okay. The other thing is, that, like, that depending on the length of the trip, we might have our bag or our bigger bag that we're not necessarily gonna take into our sleeping area with us. So
Hmm.
then, finding ways to get our clothes keep our clothes close to us and organized. And so those little Dagnap, why can I not remember the name of the company and I bought that clothes organizer from you? But they have the little
Yeah.
zippered packs that look like extra large pencil packs. And so that will fit, like he said, it'll fit uh pants, underwear, shirt, socks, all that in that bag. And so we'll take that up into the rooftop tent with us. Like slide some clothes in there, take that up into the rooftop tent with us, and then we will exchange leave our clean clothes in that and then exchange when we take our dirty clothes off, the dirty clothes will go in that and the clean clothes will come out, so we're able
Hmm.
to keep it all together. um
Yeah.
and then when we're in shorter, I love how you've outfitted the FJ with when we're on those shorter trips, like the camping trip that we took just this last weekend. We were only gone for one night, so we didn't need necessarily big bags or anything like that. So
Hmm.
we each of us just packed one of those little went ahead and packed one of those little pencil cases, and then he has put drawers in,
Hmm.
um just a small set of drawers immediately behind the driver's seat and the FJ, where it fits perfectly. A couple of those clothing, um, I don't know,
Yeah.
pencil bags, whatever you call it.
They're actually tool bags.
Yeah, I think the one
That's
that I
what they
got you
are.
was one that was intended to be a first aid kit. And I
Oh,
said,
okay.
"Okay," because they had all different yeah, it's intended to be a first aid kit. And they swapped out the outer thing is meant to be the first aid kit with some different sized, baggies in it. And I said, "Okay, I want that size outside bag, and then I want the smaller bags that will fit inside the Velcro. I want this specific size." So they actually rigged it up. Um, they
That's what we do, Michael. We can't remember the names of anything. That's just
I
kind of what we
know.
do. Sorry, buddy.
Oh my gosh. I should have written it d like,
Yeah.
I'm
Hey,
there'll be
Overlanding
more.
Dreamers says they use travel bags from Amazon. Everything is labeled and has its own bag. So that's kind of what we do with the clothes. I take the inside out of it and use the smaller bags, uh, and I'm able to put pants, shirt, underwear, socks all in one bag. So that way, I just grab a whole bag. I can take it with me inside the trailer, inside the tent, take off my other clothes and put them in there. And then in the morning, I can take the new clothes out of the bag, put the dirty clothes in the other bag, and put it back. And so that's been the best way that I have found so far, especially in the rooftop tent, because you get up there in a rooftop tent, you take clothes off, clothes are everywhere. You take new clothes up there, clothes are everywhere. And so that's been the most organized way to do that. Now, when we were down there in the trailer doing the food and stuff, the problem that I ran into was that we were going on a backpacking trip, and the backpacking trip, the refrigerator had to run the whole time without being recharged while we were on this 2 day backpacking trip. It sat in the car. So I rigged up a thing where I took the solar panel on top of the car and I ran it through the window and I ran it through the door and shut the door. And that way, during the daytime, it could be charging the EcoFlow while it was charging
Mhm,
and we got back and the EcoFlow was still on like 85, 90%, and it
mhm.
worked flawlessly. So that actually ended up being well. Now on the FJ, I have solar panels on the top, so I don't have to worry about that. But on this, it was something else that I had to think of. So if you take a different vehicle, you have to think about these things and be prepared. That's why I don't like to wait till the last minute to pack. Otherwise, I'll forget.
Yeah.
Um, ah, looky there! Look who is on Look who is on the show. Blue Ridge Overland Gear. That's who you got
Yes,
that
it
from at
is.
More
I was
Expo.
like,
That's
I
what we're
knew
talking
it
about.
had blue. Okay.
I'm senile in my old age. Blue Ridge, thank you for coming on and talking to us and mentioning that
Because I
because
was like, they are so incredible. I have to remember the name of the
love it.
company to give them a
Love
shout
it.
out.
Blue Ridge Overland Gear. You actually snuck those in. I
I
was over
did.
there, and it's a pack. I believe. Is it is it the first aid kit
I'm
or is
almost
it?
positive it was the first aid kit, and then on the
It's a
that's the
bigger thing and it has
exterior.
four smaller packs inside of it that have
But
Velcro on them.
I substituted. They had different packs inside, and I said, "I don't want those packs. I want these packs because I
Yeah,
knew that we were planning on putting clothes in them, so I wanted the bigger
right.
packs because for that pack with the 4 packs in it, that's enough for us for a weekend, a weekend trip,
Yeah,
and
it's
it was
perfect.
perfect.
It's absolutely perfect. And on top of that, with it having the Velcro on there and us having that carpet material on the inside of the tent, I can actually take that pack with my clothes in it and stick it to the top without having to lay it anywhere. And anytime you can stick anything like a patch, it creates extra room, and I love it.
Yes.
Uh, and he says the tool bag is the same size, and I that may be the tool bag. It may be the I don't know. It's one or the other. I don't know which one it is, but that bag that has the four packs inside of it that you can take the things out. If you have a rooftop tent, that pack from Blue Ridge Overland Gear is the bomb because the packs are big enough where you can put pants, shirt, socks, underwear, all in there and take it up there with you and take off what you got. If it's dirty, put it in there, and then you're organized. Works perfect. You don't have clothes everywhere. I love it. So
Mhm.
yeah, man,
So
that was one of
that
the best Christmas presents you picked
it
me
was
or
it was your birthday.
birthday.
It
Yeah,
was your
because
birthday
you
because I
you
got
got
it
it
at
at
Moore.
Moore, and my birthday was in May.
Mhm.
And so we're going to see them again. Yeah, he says you can mix and match sizes of pouches. I'm pretty sure they're going to be at More Expo here in a couple of weeks, and we'll be shopping again. I promise,
Mhm.
because they make some outstanding stuff. Love it.
So
Thank you for being on the show and
oh
reminding
my
us of
goodness.
who you
I'm
are.
so glad you popped on because I was feeling like I was senile. Oh my
I know. I
word.
was.
I
I
know
was.
people love to show
Michael
up and
was
hear us be
making fun of
like,
us.
"What is, like, the thing? What was it?"
Yes, the
Yeah.
things. It's the
Yeah,
things.
exactly. So
Um,
the crate from the other company that you mentioned, the Blue Line over the
Blue Ridge.
Blue Ridge Overland, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Those 2 things have been amazing when it comes to keeping clothes organized, and regardless of what kind of trip, whether it's a camping trip or a road trip or whatever, those 2 things, are so serviceable in both situations.
I
I can
agree.
fit yeah.
Totally agree.
Um, and then we just throw our backpacks in and don't worry about, like, when we get to the place, if we're adding backpacking in, we just pull out the clothes that we're gonna use backpacking and stick 'em in our backpacks. For backpacking, what we find really helpful to put our clothes in is, we use dry bags. There are
Mm-hmm.
gosh, just some ones from Amazon I got years ago that
Super
are
light.
not yeah, super light. They're not the rubbery dry bags that you use when canoeing, although I guess you could. They're ones that are, just have the lining on the inside that keeps them
Mm-hmm.
waterproof.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll just slide clothes in that when we're backpacking and zip it down, cinch it down. The other thing that we use are dry bags for that are almost like stuff sack ish is, our outerwear. Each of us because you never when you're traveling and there's just a whole bunch of stuff that can happen, and we've realized that we don't like neither one of us like to leave regardless of what time of year it is really, without having a waterproof layer. Hi.
There's
Um,
PJ.
I know she's, become increasingly determined to be part of this. Anyway,
I
she's
love
like
it.
yeah. But, our outerwear, like, we always wanna have a waterproof layer. We always wanna have, we like, gosh, it seems like 9 months out of the year, we always want a puffy jacket with us.
Mm-hmm.
We always want some kind of fleece or, good layering piece. And then hat and gloves, like hat and hiking gloves.
Mm-hmm.
And so we found those, our dry bags as well. Like, I think it's Frulaxi. That's the company that we got that off Amazon. But we each of us will use a dry bag and just stuff our outerwear in that to keep it together and cinch down, and because all it takes is one puffy jackets are just like, um
Oh, they're
Sleeping bags
amazing.
when it comes to their ability to expand, but also their ability to pack them down and keep it tight.
Now,
So
I think the one thing that helped in all of this was the very first trip that you and I took. We were going to take the FJ and we were going to Santa Fe, and so I actually brought a box to you. It's a black box made by Front Runner. It's a Front Runner pack box, and most people know what they are because they were like the first box ever to be in the overlanding community. They stack well, they do whatever. And I actually took this box to your house and I said, okay, everything you take must fit in this box. And you were like, everything? I was like, yeah, everything. Everything you take must fit in this box. And I think you even sent a picture of it to your family and like, everything I take must fit in this box. And it kind of became a challenge to you,
I was
because
gonna meet this. He has this idea that I don't that I overpack. I think this. I do not know where he came up with this idea, but that is not necessarily the case.
well,
I know how to pack.
you do know how to pack, but when you pack now, so I say everything you take must fit in the box, and so all of your clothes are in the box, and then there's like four pairs of shoes that aren't in the box. That over here, I was like, okay, so those aren't in the box, but I said everything had to be in the box, so that okay, we'll figure out where to put the shoes, and we'll make it work,
The
make it
shoes
work.
went in a bag. They were in a bag.
They were in a bag. So we had a box in a bag. So everything had to fit in a box, and then we had a box in a bag. So that's fine. We'll make it work. We'll make it work. But the FJ only has so much room. It is very limited space, even without a dog. At the time, we did not have the dog. We didn't have PJ at the time, and we had more room than we have now. Um, but uh, I believe that kind of started you down the road of everything has to fit within a certain space. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to take it. It's
Yeah.
almost like, okay, if you go on an airplane, you can only take, one suitcase and one carry on, and everything has to fit in one suitcase and one carry on. But even here, it's even smaller because
Yeah.
we don't have the suitcase. We just have the carry on. That's all we
Yeah.
have.
And
And so,
even that the carry on, if it has wheels, it's not fitting.
no, it's
Like
not. We can't fit the wheels. We'll have to cut the wheels off. But it's just one of those things. So Overland Dreamers commented they have the tool bag from Blue Ridge Overland Gear, but they didn't know they make packing cubes, and they're definitely going to take a look at that. Um, and Blue Ridge says that's what we used to do with the kids. They got a bag, and all the fun they could fit in that bag, and that's what they could take with them. I love it. So you're starting them out young, your clothes, toys. Now you got to watch kids, or when you get to where you're going and you open up the box, it'll be all toys and no clothes. So you got to make sure
or
that
it'll
they
be
put clothes in there. Otherwise, it'll be like snacks and toys, and they'll just have to wear clothes for a week. So
or
I've done that.
no,
It's no big deal.
or it'll be like me, whose family's going to Indiana for spring break, and me thinking, "Oh, spring break." And I pack, and this is
Yeah,
when we're living in Tennessee, so I pack shorts and tank tops, and
to
we
go
get up.
north. Yeah,
Yeah, we get up to Indiana, and it's freezing and
freezing cold.
cold and snowy, and I pull out my first outfit, and my parents are like, "What is that?" And
Yeah.
I'm like, "It's spring break.
Oh yeah, I did the
It's
same
spring
thing
break.
going
It's spring
to
break."
Minnesota in July. We left here. It was 8,000 degrees in Arkansas, and I'm in shorts and a t-shirt. We get to Minnesota, it's like 48 degrees, and I'm like, where are we? I don't understand this summer
Now
weather.
now when I admittedly, when mine happened, I was like 11, but or 10, but the way my parents, they then went to a thrift store, and they bought me 1 long sleeve shirt and 1 pair of pants from the
Love
thrift
it.
store, and
Love
that's
it.
what I got to
That's
wear. I
perfect.
got yeah, so I think every night they were doing laundry, and they put in my pair of pants and my long sleeve shirt.
That is perfect. I love it.
Yeah.
So anyway, that me giving you the box, that really prepared you, and even more prepared you for the backpacking trip, which was our next big trip that we took because
Mhm.
everything that we took had to be on our back, and it
Yes.
not only had to pack small, it had to be light
Yes.
because we didn't. This is one of the trails, Eagle Rock Loop in Arkansas. It is considered one of the hardest. It's the hardest, longest loop in Arkansas, 26, 29 miles, depending on where you go, how many steps you take. And you don't want to overpack because there's 7 mountains I think we had to climb right off the
Mhm.
bat, and um, and we talked about this. How many sets of clothes are you going to take? What are you going to take? Because it's going to be cold at night, warm during the day. How many pairs of underwear? How many socks? We talked about this. What do we take?
Mhm.
And for you, it's different. I understand that women have to take different things than men when we go on things like this. So
Yeah.
I took one pair of pants that I was wearing, and I took one extra in case something happened. If a black bear tore my pants off, I'd have another pair of pants. You never know what's going to happen. You have to
'Cause
plan.
that happens all the time.
Happens all the
And, like,
time. I see it.
those pervert bears ripping pants off
All the
everywhere.
time. And
Yeah.
I took a pair of underwear for each day. I took a pair of socks because we were going to be crossing water multiple times. I did not want to wear wet socks. And so I took multiple socks, multiple underwears, two shirts, one pair of pants. And so
Mhm.
all that had to pack down, and it also had to fit. So when you're going on something like that, it's a completely different mindset of what to take and how much to take.
Mhm.
And so it was just something we had to talk about,
Mhm.
especially clothes. We had our stoves. We took an extra stove. You took a
Yeah.
stove,
I wanted a
so we'd
stove
have a backup.
because yeah. I was
And
like,
we each had our own pack.
"Yep."
I carried the tent. Um,
Mhm.
you
You
carried your sleeping bag. You carried your pillows and all that stuff. I carried my sleeping bag, my pillows. I carried the tent, and then we
and
shared the
food and
food.
stuff. I think we'll
Split the
do
food.
yeah, I think I do food different next time. I think the way that we did food this last time was he had the dinners and then
You had the
he had
snacks.
dinners, yeah, and I had snacks. And then we
Because you
realized
were always like, "Here, eat this, eat this, eat this, eat this."
well,
Because the more I ate, the less you had to carry.
I know, exactly. I was given I mean, Case, he was like, "I'm not hungry," and I'm like, "You're never gonna get fat if you don't." He said, "That's the trick," because he was talking about how he never gains weight, and I was like, "Okay, the trick is you eat when you're not hungry. That is how
Right,
you like,
right. You have to put the
that's how."
calories on. That
I
gives you
know,
energy.
exactly. Let me help you figure out how to get fat. Anyway, so you carried suppers and breakfast, and I carried all the snacks. And I think in the future, what we need to do is one of us carry breakfast, one of us carry suppers, and then we each carry our own snacks. Because it was just one
Hmm.
of the like when I think that yeah, like because you wanted particular things, and I packed with certain ideas about like, ooh, you might, and I think snacks are so much more personal preference,
Hmm.
like,
Hmm.
and then I always get snack envy on the trail, and so then
Hmm.
Case pulled out hot fries. I've never had a hot fry in my life, and I was like, well, that looks good, and then he pulled out corn nuts, and I was like, well, that looks even better, and
Well, and you wanted to take peanut M&Ms, which are like the best thing
I
on
didn't,
earth to carry with you.
I
But we
left
left
them
them
in
in
the
the car
car.
and we ate them
Yes.
all the way home. So
Yes. So I think
yeah,
snacks, like I'll go get a like I think I'll go get a buffet of snacks. Like just it's fun going to Walmart and buying all of our seeing the neat stuff and the gluten free fig bars and the trail mixes and all that and the crunchy and the sweet. And then I think we just need to each build kind of our own snack bags
yeah,
from our honey
yeah. I think so
stingers
too.
and all
That's a
that.
learning experience. We
Yeah.
we learned. We've done it a couple times, and we learned what's best for us. So that's what
Yeah.
we're going to do. Well, hey, we're going to stop and pause for just a minute and give some props to our sponsors who are with us every single week and make sure this happens. So we're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
The Overland Podcast is proudly supported by Timbo Tusk, Shop Overland Apparel, Okie Overland, We Boost, Zero Breeze, Steadfast Overland, The Overland Shower by Adventure Trail Outfitters, Snap Mounts, Blackbeard Fire Starters, X Beyond 360, Logic Overland Coffee, MC Ranch Overland, Moreflate, Midland Radio, Northbound Expeditions, in cooperation with Natural State Overland, Go Explore USA, Jasper Jeep Jam and Overlanding Rally, and Overland of America Expo. We also support nonprofit organizations such as Blue Line Overland and Warriors in the Wild.
So, thank you for everybody who makes sure that this podcast happens every week. We are indebted to you. I have my Logic Overland with me right here and showing off some of the brand new Burn Ban Billy. So, if you haven't tried any of the Logic Overland, they just came out with this new Kona blend from, they call it Burn Ban Billy. It is to die for. Talked to Sergio this week. He said this is his new favorite. So, give them a try. Look it up, logicoverland.co. And I believe they can save you some money on shipping if
Mm,
you order over $30. So that's pretty easy to
delicious.
do. Yeah, so good. So very
Hmm.
good. So the next thing that we did, the next trip that we took was a spring break trip. And we've done this before in a little bit different way. We decided to be a little bit domesticated on this and stay in a cabin I found on Hip Camp. Um, and We were going to base camp out of the certain part of Tennessee for a week and do some hiking, see the sights, go, to a few places, do some shopping. We wanted to take a fridge because, the older we get, we don't really buy souvenirs. We buy magnets for the fridge. We buy postcards
Stickers.
and stickers, postcard stickers, so they don't take up much room. But most of the time, what we do buy is food. And so we wanted to take a fridge. We actually bought another ice cold fridge off of Matt and Kira. We're getting rid of one that they had tested out, a real small one, and we wanted it for the Subaru. And we hooked it up to the Expion 360 power cap, and that's what was going to run it the whole time that we were gone. So that worked out good. The fridge worked flawlessly. It was perfect. Um, and we took a stove in case we wanted to, took a stove. We were going to do some picnics, things like that. So we had our normal stuff with us. So we always pack um, chicken salad. We always pack pimento cheese, and we always
Hmm.
pack crackers. We take grapes. We have things like that. We always have a picnic. We cut up summer sausage, cheese, different things like that. And we always find a cool stop and have a picnic. And we actually found one of the most beautiful places to
Oh,
stop right on the
yeah.
river.
It was like the
Had a
Garden of
picnic one
Eden.
day down in the middle of, I think we were in North Carolina. I can't
We
remember.
were. Hmm.
It was such a beautiful place. PJ got to run around, drink water, land water, play in the mud, all that stuff. So she loved it. And, we got to explore part of the Nantahala National Forest. And it was super cool. But packing for this trip was different because we weren't staying in the trailer. We weren't
Hmm.
staying in the FJ. We were actually staying inside of a place. So I went back to my original packing of putting it in the Alpa um, and the backpack carry on type thing. And that way I could carry it in, everything would be inside. And, it was pretty easy to pack clothes for this because we knew how long we were going to be gone. It was about 8 days. And I could plan out, how many pants, how many shirts, how many underwear, socks, all this stuff.
Hmm.
So that was pretty easy. But also on this trip, we had to take like shampoo, conditioner, soap, loofahs, things like that. So we had to take a little bit of extra things, but we didn't have to take things that we normally have to take, like pillows and towels
Hmm.
and things like that. So it was a totally different way of packing. But we had a little bit extra room. Now we had the dog on this trip, so we had to make room for her. We had to pack stuff for her. But we also
It
were
was more like the typical vacation, not the
typical
over,
vacation. Yeah,
yeah, it was
but we
more,
also were not going to be in the middle of nowhere. So if we needed to run to a Dollar General, which there's one on every corner, it would be easy to go pick something up if we
yeah.
needed. So,
But we knew we were gonna be adventuring, so we wanted the fridge, and we knew we wanted the clothes that we knew we could adventure in and hike and all that good stuff. So,
but it was also going to be changing in weather. So
Mhm.
the first part while we were there, it was cold, like bitter cold, really cold. We were in the mountains, 50s during the day, 30s at night. We had to wear long sleeve, puffy jackets. I wore a toboggan.
Mhm. I did too.
It was not shorts and t-shirt weather.
Mm-mm.
Now, come Thursday and Friday, it got hot. It was 80 degrees. We were in Lynchburg, in the middle of the town, staying in an Airbnb, old 100-year-old house,
It was
beautiful
so
house.
cool.
We were able to walk to everything, but this was t-shirt, flip flops weather. I mean, it was
Mhm.
warm, and so it was going to rain. So it rained a couple days, and so we had to plan for different climates, and we were able to do that because we looked far ahead. And that's one of the things that a lot of people don't think about. You know, when you were younger, you didn't look at the weather, but I was I was 50 years old when I went to Minnesota. I didn't look at the weather. I didn't know it was going to be. I never
40.
dreamed anywhere in the world in July would be 40 something degrees because in Arkansas it's the pits of Hades. And
Mhm.
so it never dawned on me, oh, I might need to check the weather up there. So that's one of the things I have become religiously looking at constantly is where we're going, what's the weather going to be? Because I need to dress appropriately. This summer, we're going to the Northeast. And my dad told me on Sunday when we were at their house for Easter, he said, we went to Maine a couple of years ago. Very first thing we had to do was buy hoodies when we got up there because we were about to freeze to death. And I said, I've already learned that lesson. I've already been there, done that. And so, yeah, we'll be looking at that and making sure that we dress appropriate. But that was one of the things that we had to look at was
Mhm.
what the weather was going to be.
It made yeah, and it did make packing, just a more of it like, there was more stuff involved, like, we took our puffies, we took our rain jackets, we took our fleece layer, we took our gloves and our hats and all that and packed them down because we knew we were gonna need them. So, rather than taking the, packing crate or
Yeah,
box, I was jealous
from
of your
Radius Outfitters.
yes,
Yeah,
radius
Radius Outfitters.
outfitters, thank you.
Yeah.
I was jealous of your Copaxi, and I was like, I think it and I wanted a little bit more room than that because we were just having to take so many different things because of the weather.
Hmm.
And so I got the Cotopaxi gear hauler that we got for our wedding.
It's massive.
It's very
It
big.
will hold a small car.
Yeah.
It will.
It's not yeah. So anyway, I used that in packing cubes and was able to fit packing cubes and dry bag.
Well, and that worked well,
It did.
taking
It
the
was
gear
great.
hauler because we had several different shoes that we wanted to take because we were going to walk around town. We were going to do some tours. We were going to do some hiking while we were there, and plus lounging around the house.
Mhm.
And getting up in the middle of the night to take the dog out. I want something to slip on. I don't want to tie my shoes. I don't want to go out barefooted because I'm tenderfoot. And so we both had two or three pairs of shoes that we took with us. So that
Yeah.
worked out well.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
worked out well. And we had more room than we've ever had on any trip. It was really nice.
Mhm.
Yeah. It was totally different than anything we've ever done. It was really nice.
It was a lot of fun, but it was once again, the thing that I realized that we just don't wanna live without is the fridge. We
Yeah.
like, we love it doesn't matter what kind of trip we're doing, we love that. And then,
And we ended up using it like crazy because we took some food with us. We went on we did a couple picnics doing that food, but we also had a free day and you were like, let's go find a good meat shop or cheese shop. What is out there? What is out there? So 11 miles away was this country ham place. And you had already found their bacon at the visitor center, and I'm like, let's go to this place. Let's check this out. We ended up going there, getting the red carpet treatment, the whole tour of the place, and we ended up walking out of there with about 50 pounds of pork. And so we had to have a place to put it.
very
And
salty pork. It's
very
delicious though.
salty pork. It's
Yeah, it's
really
country ham.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's salt sugar cured. But man, let me tell you, it's really good on some things, and we're probably gonna have some here in a minute when we get off on
Mhm.
some jalapenos. But it it was so nice, and I know. You have told me several times, you've spoiled me. We can't go anywhere without a fridge anymore because we go to meat shops, we go to cheese shops, and we always end up coming with a load,
Mhm.
filling up the freezer full of food because we
Well,
are both foodies. We're both
that's our
foodies,
that's
and we love it.
our it's our
It's my love language. It's my love
I
language.
know, and
It's
it's what we
exactly
get
what.
as all of our souvenirs are all edible. The thing that we forgot this time, though, that our packing and planning wasn't as perfect as it should have been, is chairs. That's another
Mm,
thing that we found that regardless of what we're doing, whether we're backpacking, whether on the FJ or the trailer or whatever, we want a chair that we can set up and sit.
yeah.
Because even like this like where we you drove the Subaru down some forest roads and picnicked, and that we were able to sit on the back of the car, but a chair would have
Hmm.
been really nice. So that is one thing that we need to invest in, some chairs for the Subaru.
Well, and that's one of the things that I racked my brain because the FJ is dedicated overlanding. Everything that we need is always in there. The air
Mhm,
down, the air up, fishing poles, fridge, kitchen, everything, chairs, tables, solar, everything that we need is always there. All we have to do is throw our clothes in there and go. Food,
mhm.
clothes, and go. And so I racked my brain this time. We were taking a different vehicle. What is in the FJ that we're going to need? What are we going to take with us? And that was the one thing that slipped my mind. And I didn't think about, okay, we're going to do some picnics. When we get out in the middle of nowhere, we may need a place to sit. Never thought about it. Now, I took a table. I took two tables, actually. And we had plenty of tables to set everything up, but we didn't have a place to sit. And that was, you're right. We failed on that. And it's hard if you don't have everything dedicated to a vehicle, if it doesn't stay in there. And, most of everybody, their overland, their travel vehicle is their daily driver. So they're not able to keep everything in there. They take it out, put it in their garage or put it in storage. And every time they go somewhere, they put it in their vehicle. And I know people out there are always sometimes forgetting things, and that's typical. And so making a checklist. Now I have a checklist for backpacking because you cannot run to the store and get anything if you forget it. You got to have everything on that. Most of the time, if you're on an overlanding trip or a trip like we were on, you can run, pick something up. Um, but trying to remember everything, it's tough.
I just really, yeah, it's the kind of thing where we need our checklist for the weekend trip where we're on the FJ. We need our checklist, like of course our backpacking checklist, but then a checklist when we aren't necessarily, when it's a longer trip, when it's,
Hmm.
the things that we think about, like the chairs, coffee. How are we going to make coffee on this trip? The
Hmm.
way that we make coffee and drink coffee is very different when we're doing a weekend in the FJ, when we're
Hmm.
traveling longer, or when we're backpacking. The way we do coffee is really different. And I threw him a curveball because I have a particular like cup that I like to drink from, and it's what is it, a gator? Is that what they are?
Yeah, coffee gator.
Oh, okay. So, and then that one works really well with pour over. Well, he had planned on me using a French press, so he hadn't.
Like this one,
Yeah, so he hadn't.
which is
We
so
hadn't.
easy.
Yeah, we hadn't packed anything to make coffee to pour
Yeah,
into. Yeah. So
but
anyway,
we
so
made it.
coffee's one thing. Like
We
just thinking
actually
about.
had a little pack dedicated for just coffee because you have to have decaf, and I drink
Yes.
regular coffee, so we have to make two different kinds every time. We can't just make one, and so that's,
Mhm.
and we are coffee heads. And so the first thing we do when we get up in the morning, go to the bathroom, make coffee. Period. That's the way it is every morning. And when we're at home, I make coffee at night, so that way when we get up in the morning, coffee's ready. So we're coffee heads. We got to figure this out, and so that was kind of a big deal. And I dedicated a lot of time to making sure that we had coffee because you can't just get decaf anywhere.
No.
And so if
No,
we
you
don't
can't.
have your coffee, it's kind of an ordeal.
It's a
And I want
bummer.
you to be happy. So yeah,
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
of course.
Um, the other thing that we think about too is like the chargers for the phone. What kind of chargers do we need? Is it something that like that are we gonna need to make sure that all of our chargers that we charge our phone with are fully charged before we go out? Because if it's a backpacking trip or something like that, we
Mhm.
need our we need those to be fully charged versus where if it's, if we're camping for the weekend, we can get away with not having that. Or if it's a week-long trip, we don't, it's so thinking about chargers too, that's something that changes up a little bit when
Yeah.
depending on what kind of trip we're taking.
Yeah, if you're staying in a house, make sure you have something that'll plug into the wall that a USB can go in.
Mhm.
We've forgot those several times. This past weekend when we were camping in the FJ, we have some lights that are in the tent, and I grabbed one of the little power packs to turn on
Mhm.
the lights. They stayed on about 8 seconds, and then they went off because I grabbed the dead one, of course. I remember to take it, but I didn't remember to charge it. And so, that's definitely something to think about, especially on a backpacking trip or something where you're out in the middle of nowhere where you need to charge something. You make sure everything is charged up.
Yeah.
So definitely a good point to make.
Yeah.
Now, the last trip that we took last weekend, we just took the FJ out and we went to the Washita's. It was absolutely perfect,
It's
beautiful
so
weather.
beautiful.
Um, we tried a few new things out, but pretty much everything that we had was there. It was only for one night, so we really didn't have to pack a lot of clothes. We didn't have to pack, a whole bunch of stuff. Didn't have to pack a lot of food. We tried some food that I had never tried before, and it wasn't that great, but we had a backup plan. And so it was the sauce. We had this sauce that was a mango with what did it have in it?
Saffron.
Saffron. Oh,
It
I'm
was
just not
just
a
a
saffron.
very unusual sauce. PJ didn't
Yeah,
even
it
even
like sent
PJ.
sent like tones up into your skull and stuff. It was weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
It wasn't my favorite.
Normally I
And
like saffron and I love mango, but the combination and
yeah, that's a
wasn't the
little
most
bit too
pleasant.
oriental for my blood. But anyway, I digress. But we had taken everything and we had backup stuff and we had the fridge pack. We had, everything that we needed in there. And so that was an easy trip to me because when we throw everything in the FJ, everything's there. I don't like robbing Peter to pay Paul. I don't like taking the chairs out of the FJ and putting them in another vehicle when we go on that because then we'll jump in the FJ and the chairs won't be there. Oh, I forgot them.
Mhm.
They're still in the car.
Mhm.
Or robbing a stove or robbing this or that out of one thing to put in the other. I want everything to have its own deal. I've got adventure motorcycle. I want it to have its own setup because
Mhm.
if I get out somewhere, I'm like, oh, I forgot that. I can't remember anything anymore, and so and I don't have 15 checklists for every vehicle that we have, and so it's something that you have to think about. It's something that you have to really put some time into because it is an inconvenience when you don't have what you want, what you need. And I want to get out there. I want to relax. I want to sit down with a good book by running water, uh, with some food and drink and just relax. That's why I go. And if I don't have something, if I have to do without, it makes it where I'm not as relaxing as what I want to be.
Mhm.
And so that's why I put a little bit of effort, thought into every single place that we go to make sure that we have what we need.
Yeah. So, I think the way that I something that really helps me stay organized is, of course, talking to my husband about, like, "Okay, so what do we need to be thinking about? What's the plan?" And making sure that we're communicating. But the other thing is, like, using my phone a ton, like, this right here,
The
backpacking.
notes.
I use the notes all the time for
Hmm.
I mean, we've got our, shared shopping list on it, but we have a shared backpacking list
Hmm.
where we go back and see what we packed, are able to use that same list, make edits to it, and
Hmm.
so it becomes this, so I have packing lists that for our trip to Santa Fe, like what I packed for the trip to Big Bend. So I'm able to go back and see those things. So that kind of becomes so those have become kind of my generic kind of list of depending on what kind of trip we're doing. Are we doing a vacation where we're not um camping and overlanding as much. We will be staying in KOAs, camping cabins, or Airbnbs or something like that. That has its own packing list,
Mm-hmm.
and then the backpacking has its own packing list, and then the weekend trip camping has its own packing list, because that has proven invaluable to me to help me stay organized. And then and they don't go anywhere. I keep them. And then I also, after we finish something, I'll spend just a couple minutes doing reflection, of like what worked, what didn't work, like what do I wish I'd had, what did I not use, and it ended up taking space that I could have, especially with backpacking, you resent carrying things that you do not use.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, after
yeah,
every backpacking trip, I take everything out and I look at it and say, did I use that and why did I take it?
yeah,
There's some things that you have to take for just in case. Your
yeah,
safety kit, medical kit, things like that. But you don't want to carry anything you don't have to, and so that's a little bit different than going on an overlanding trip in the FJ where we've got recovery gear and a whole bunch of food that we may come back with, because if you
yeah.
go camping with Scott, he's going to cook all the food for you and you bring all your food back. But you just never know sometimes what you're going to use and what you're not. But it is a good thing to reflect when you get back and see what you took, see what you've got left, and maybe the next time you'll just leave it at home, see if you don't need it.
Hmm.
So
Like on my one, like my car camping one, I'm like, don't bring pajamas, because the first couple of times I was bringing. Now, of course, if we're camping, well, actually, no, I don't even think within. Because I was bringing pajamas. And I would wear my clothes up, I would change into pajamas, and then I would change into clothes for the next day. And I was like, that's ridiculous.
mm-hmm,
Like, wear my dirty clothes. If I need to take PJ out in the middle of the night, put my dirty clothes back on. If I'm just wearing my t-shirt, pull my pants on, and then just change into your clothes. So it's, depending on what you're doing, you pack different things, but pajamas is one of those things that if we're going on a trip where we're staying in the camping cabins and Airbnbs, of course I'm taking my pajamas, I'm taking my robe.
mm-hmm,
But no, if we're camping out of the car, those are two things that are not going to wind up in my bag,
mm-mm. You don't need
because
them.
no, you don't need them
You
at all.
don't
And
need
if
'em.
they're definitely not winding up in my bag backpacking, uh-uh,
Mm-mm. No,
no,
I'm not
yeah.
carrying that stuff. Oh well, it depending on what kind of adventure you're going on, make a list, and then use that list for the next time. See if you can make it better. Edit it. When you get home, see what you used, what you didn't, and keep that list. Once you put things in your notes on your phone, it stays there forever. And when you can sync it to your iCloud, even if you got a new phone, it'll stay there. And so create those lists, use them for each time. If you have multiple vehicles, create one for each vehicle. That way, you won't forget anything. Because if you forget something, it creates this feeling inside of you that you're not all there, and you want to be all there. That's why you
Hmm.
go.
Yeah.
So,
And then it's the stuff that, you don't think about, like your blister, like backpacking, making sure you've got your blister kit, making sure you've got your
hmm
ibuprofen, your vitamin I, so that way you can
yeah.
make it through the next day.
Oh my goodness,
Those,
gotta have that vitamin I. I take some
yeah,
every day, multiple
yeah.
times. Well, hey, we have come to the end of the show. I hope you have gotten something out of this. I know I have, because I need to create another list. Um, there's always another list to create. But anyway, while you're out there, I hope you have a wonderful week. Thank you for listening. Please give us a follow on our Instagram, our Facebook, our YouTube, and check out and let us know what you think. We're glad you are here and hope you have a wonderful week. On behalf of my wife and myself,
Bye, y'all.
hope you have a wonderful week. Look out for number one. Don't step number two. See you.